to the Word of Truth. This is Teacher D.H. Boone, and today's message is called The Devil is a Liar. The devil is the father of lies, and he loves to try to deceive people, to tempt people, to manipulate events and manipulate things that's going on in your life. He likes to manipulate your surroundings. He likes to deceive you, and we have to be on the lookout at all times and being aware and alert. That's why it's so important to develop a close relationship with the Lord, because God knows his tactics. God knows where his environment is, and he know where you will go and what you would do to fall into his trap. That's why God say to surrender to him 100%, resist the devil so he will flee. The enemy is not your friend. He is your foe. He don't want you to make it. He don't want you to achieve anything. He don't want you to live out your dreams. He don't want you to succeed in anything. That's why it's so important to listen to God and pay attention to the signs of the enemy. We realize just like God has children that people follow God, will the enemy have children as well. And we must realize, which is his little demons, and we must realize that he is not out to do anything good. The enemy like to probe. He like to get close to you so he could find out the things that you're doing, so he could try to destroy him. He's here to kill, steal, and destroy. That's why you can never underestimate the power of the enemy. Now, a lot of times people think that, okay, I ain't gonna pay no attention to the enemy, but see, you have to realize the enemy was very powerful. And remember, he was an angel, but he's a fallen angel, but he still has power. But God said if you surrender to him 100%, resist the devil, then he will flee. But see, the enemy can't do anything unless you allow it to, or unless God allow it. Now, we know that God allowed the enemy to test Job. We know that. And we must realize a difference between a test and a difference between the enemy trying to manipulate you and trying to deceive you to get you to do things opposite of what God told you to do. For instance, the very best example I could use is from the beginning is Adam and Eve. When God told them not to eat off the tree of knowledge of good and evil, or else if they did, in the day that they did, that they would surely die. Now, when God told them that word, that was instruction, because God know how deceiving the enemy was. So therefore, God was trying to protect them and tell them what not to do and what they could do. They said, don't eat off this one tree, but all the rest of the trees you could freely eat. Now, the enemy came and made that one thing appealing to Adam and Eve. He deceived them. He lied. He started with the weaker vessel, which was Eve, so he can get to Eve, because he knew that Eve was going to get some to her husband, and he would eat. So the enemy came by and said, here, why don't you have this? And then, Eve was like, no, we're not supposed to eat that. God said the day that we eat it, we will surely die. So he was like, what? He said that, oh, you won't surely die. He's holding out on you. He don't want you to be like him, being a God. He know that the day that you eat, you will be a God. You will be like him. So that made them want it. Instead of saying, no, I don't care how appealing it is. God told me to stay away from this tree, and he told me for a reason. He gave me instruction. But see, the enemy will try to tempt you and make something appealing and give you, especially if you have that lust inside, so you could give in to it, because he is a liar. There's no truth in him. And from that lie that Adam and Eve gave into, that's what made them fall. That's what made them be separated from God. So, when God give you instruction, you got to follow it. Because if God give you an instruction and you don't follow it, it's going to eventually catch up with you. It may not catch up with you right at that second, but sure enough, it will catch up with you. That's why you have to make sure that you be careful and be alert and be watchful. Know that your adversary, the devil, is prowling the earth, roaming, seeking who he may devour. He is a liar. He is the father of lies. He will send people in your life. It could be somebody in your family. It could be in your neighborhood. It could be at work. It could be any and everywhere. That's why you have to be alert and know the word of God, so you will know the instructions and the commands and the standards and the statutes of what to do and what not to do. And then the enemy will try to discourage you. He will tell you and try to convince you that you can't do something, but you have to realize that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. You got to stop letting the enemy discourage you. Like I said, he could use somebody in your family, somebody close to you, somebody in your neighborhood, somebody at your job. He could use somebody at the gym. He could use somebody anywhere and try to discourage you and try to say that you can't do something. It's a lot of people out here that don't want to better their life. They want to do the same thing. They scared of change. And then if they see you rising, they try to pull you down so you could be with them, because misery loves company. But you have to stand strong. And if you have to move away from some people, you can love them, but some people you have to love at a distance so you can be able to branch out, prosper, and grow. Some people you cannot grow around, because some people will try to hold you back. Some people will try to tell you what you can't do, and somebody will try to distract you, because the enemy uses people to distract you, because he know that if he brings certain things around, it will distract you. That's why you got to keep your eyes and mind on the Lord, so you could be in perfect peace. The devil is the liar. He is the father of lies. There's no truth in him. So that's why you have to follow the Lord. Surrender to him 100%, because Jesus is the truth, the light, and the way to get to God the Father. Remember, the enemy is a liar. He's the father of lies. He have his little buddy. He have his little children. And he worked through people to try to get to you. He tried to get close to you to find out about you so he could manipulate you. And he tried to say, oh, that ain't going to work. He tried to convince you. But anytime somebody try to talk against what God told you to do, you have to hurry up and say, enough is enough. I'm not listening to that. Cast it down on its onset. God said, cast down every vain imagination and anything that exalts itself against the word of God, and bring it to obedience to the truth and knowledge of God. So you have to cast down the enemy on his onset. You can't hold a conversation with him. You can't talk with him, because if you talk to him, you discuss, you try to reason with him, he'll get you. So what you do is the best way to do. If you surrender to God 100%, God will tell you what to do. And if you obey him, that's resisting him. And then that means that the enemy will flee, because if you don't give in to him, he's going to flee. Now he'll rest. He might come back, and he's going to come back sooner or later. But you have to make sure that you prepare yourself. And how you prepare yourself is being in the word of God 24/7. You have to make sure not only do you learn the word of God, but you have to make sure that you walk in them. You exercise them in your life. God's words are action words. You have to use them. You just can't, it's not like supposed to sit it on the bookshelf and let it collect dust. No, God's word is supposed to use each and every day. When you learn the word of God, you will learn the right way to live. And then you can spot a lie when you learn the truth. So now is the time for you to realize that the enemy is a lie. He the father of lies. He is no truth in him. He wants to destroy you. He is to kill, steal, and destroy. He don't want you to make it. He don't want you to have a good relationship with God. He is a great accuser. So don't let him accuse you of anything that's valid. You make sure that you obey God at all costs, so he can't discredit you, so he can't accuse you. So if he try to accuse you and you stand up strong and you know that you innocent, say, okay, enemy, when did I do that? Show me when I did that. When did I do it? Tell me. Tell her I want you to. See, it comes a time when you have to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. And long life, he will satisfy you and show you his salvation. And then when you follow the Lord, then you have to have this in you, that I will live and not die. I will declare the works of the Lord. So make sure you realize that everything will work together for the good for those who love God and called out according to his purpose. And you have to realize what the enemy means for bad, God used for good. So if God allow the enemy to test you, God is going to use it for good. And anything that the enemy may form a weapon against you, but it will not prosper. And the weapon that the enemy try to form against you, God will use it for your good. So you got to trust him and realize that the enemy is the father of lies, but God in Jesus is the word of truth. Until next time, may the peace of God be with you. Peace.